Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Village Council meeting for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. This is a regular council meeting. So the meeting is open, and Judy, if you could call the roll.
Stokes.
I am here.
DeBoer Leonard.
Here.
Hausch.
Here.
Also present is Solicitor Amy Blankenship and other solicitor, Sarah Sparks.
Everybody needs a second solicitor. All right, thank you very much. The chair will entertain a motion to move into executive session to discuss compensation of a village employee. I don't have my agenda in front of me either. So, all right, thank you. All right, all right. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Oh, roll call.
Stokes.
Yes, yes.
DeBoer Leonard.
Yes.
Hausch.
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the regular Village Council meeting for the Village of Yellow Springs for Tuesday, January 21st, 2025. And the chair will entertain a motion to come out of executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Judy, if you call the roll.
Stokes?
I am here.
DeVore?
And yes.
Yes.
Hausch?
Yes.
Brown?
Yes.
Gustafson?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Ooh. I do apologize for my delay. All righty. So for announcements, excuse me, I am going to begin announcements if I could by reading a statement. That's from Chief of Police Paige Burge. It's written to Village Council, and so it's for our information and also for public consumption. Dear council members, the Yellow Springs Police Department continues to investigate the tragic homicide that occurred on January 10th, 2025. We understand the community's concern and want to provide an update regarding the ongoing case. On January 15th, 2025, a grand jury returned an indictment in connection with this investigation. The individual charged in this case, Frederick Dane Moonshao Peterson, is facing the following counts. Count 1, murder. Count 2, felonious assault. Count 3, murder. Count 4, improperly discharging a firearm at or into a habitation. Count 5, tampering with evidence. The investigation remains active, and the police department, alongside other law enforcement agencies and the Bureau of Criminal Investigation, is dedicated to ensuring that justice is served. We would like to thank the community for their continued support and encourage anyone with information related to the case to contact Yellow Springs Police Department at 937-767-7206, option 2. We will continue to provide updates as appropriate and encourage the public to remain vigilant while respecting the privacy of those affected by this tragedy. And on top of that, we certainly offer the condolences to the Peterson family, immediate and extended family. And I would just encourage each of us to, take this letter, this memo to heart, and just do know that everyone is doing their level best to ensure that justice is served, as the memo suggested. So, do we have additional announcements?
Well, I wonder, Kevin, I know Doc Pete was super beloved to all of us. What a great positive energy. Should we do a moment of silence?
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Let's do pause for a moment. Thank you, everyone, for your participation and your consideration. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, I have a few more things to add. So first of all, I wanted to mention, I wanted to thank Kevin again for getting us our badges. And I realized recently when Meg and I went to the Economic Forum, I couldn't find mine. It was like, it was on like one of my jackets or whatever, but I really appreciate them. And, it was nice now that I found it to like put it out there again. So good thought, Kevin.
Indeed.
Martin Luther King Jr. Day was incredible this year, and I really encourage folks. I found the video and then I couldn't find it again, so but I know Ben's gonna post it, and the youth thoughts were amazing. They're always great, but there were just some messages that were so impactful. And I know a lot of us were there, but I really want to highlight, a couple things that focused, really helped me focus. One of them was that we really need to come at things with courage, and the way that was described is the hard work that so many of us do. But just such a great day, and so many people to thank, in particular Linda Cox, and of course the 365 project team that organizes that. I'm so glad that the village supports the speaker component of MLK Junior Day. The speaker this year, a cousin of Coretta Scott King's, was amazing, and had so many things to say around how some is not a real number, soon is not a real time. I mean, pretty incredible. Also wanted to mention that executive forum that Meg and I attended, or economic forum at Wright State, really highlighted a few things, in particular workforce development. And I'm really hoping that the Yellow Springs Development Corporation and other folks involved can think about how we can get into that mix. We've got space. We've talked about it quite a few times, and I think it's one of the economic development things that could make a big difference for Yellow Springs, and we've got that history with Antioch College. Also, just as a side note, and Rebecca had mentioned this as well, the USDA had a webinar last week about funding local arts and theaters, and I was able to attend that. I've got the video if anyone's interested, but I think there's some really good opportunities for us. Mary Ann McQueen, our former council member, is about to turn 80, so I just wanted to put a shout out to Mary Ann, still active and amazing. Yes, that's right. Woo! And when I was reading the manager's report, it was really cool to see that the Yellow Springs beloved community is doing so much to support our youth center. And I just want to remind folks, it is third Saturdays at noon that they provide a free meal at the Presbyterian Church. But it's also neat to see that they and others are supporting the 17 on average youth that need a meal and come to the Bryan Center every day. All right, so that's what I got.
Thank you, thank you. And I will acknowledge that Mark Heiss is equally responsible for the name tags. His new
Thanks, Mark.
new marketing company provided those. We ran into each other somewhere, and I was jealous of all the folks who had name badges. So and Mark was there, so we talked about it, and so certainly he is owed a great deal of thanks for the work that he's done as well. All right, we have a swearing in to do. We're swearing in Ian Chavez as a member of, or alternate?
Environmental Commission.
Okay, yeah, as an alternate to Environmental Commission. So, Mr. Chavez, if you could come to the front, please. Just counting the number of Ohio State here.
Kyle!
It's red in here.
I don't know that I can do this.
So, please raise your right hand. Well, I also have to the University of Michigan credits on my desk.
Yeah, okay, now you're getting worse. If I had known, I would have worn my Oregon shirt, but I didn't know this was going to be all about it.
Oregon is part of the Big Ten, it's all okay. All right. Ian, if you raise your right hand, please, thank you. And please repeat after me. I solemnly swear or affirm.
I solemnly swear or affirm
And we'll pick whichever one makes most sense. That I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
and will obey the laws of the United States
and will obey the laws of the United States
and of the state of Ohio.
and the state of Ohio.
That I will, in all respects,
That I will, in all respects,
observe the provisions of the Charter
observe the provisions of the Charter
and ordinances of the Village of Yellow Springs,
and ordinances of the Village of Yellow Springs,
and faithfully discharge the duties of the office of
and will faithfully discharge the duties of the office of
Environmental
Commission.
All right, welcome. It is a done deal. And here's a pin, so you are official. You have as much authority in the board as any.
Welcome, Ian.
Get some signatures. Okay, we'll take care of that.
Ian, if you wouldn't mind signing yours and tossing it on some surface before you leave this vicinity, I'll fill out the rest of it.
You want to sign what he's got? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
That'll work.
All righty. Thank you, everyone, for your time and attention. I'm debating how many times I'm going to mention Ohio State this evening. This might be the last time. Well, I normally wear a sport jacket when I'm up here. This is better. All right, enough about Ohio State and the Big 18. So now we're at the consent agenda. According to the consent agenda, we have 2 items. That will be the minutes of our January 6, 2025 regular meeting, and also the credit card statement for the month of December. I would like to get a motion and second to approve the minutes of the January 6, 2025 regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
All right, all those in favor of approving the minutes of January 6, 2025, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign? All right, hearing none, that motion has been passed. The next thing is the credit card statement for December. Can I get a motion and a second, please?
Second?
All right, all those in favor of approving the credit card statement for December, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Same sign? All right, hearing none, that motion is passed. Now we're at review of the agenda. That's where we get to take a look at what's on the agenda, pull things off, add them to it. And Judy, if I'm not mistaken, we do need to add some things.
Do need to add a resolution 2025-09 approving an amended option to purchase agreement with Yellow Springs Exempted Village School District, and resolution 2025-10 approving $100,000 towards completion of new community soccer fields to the agenda. Do have those at your spot.
Yep. So, and this, I have a copy of 8 here also. Is this just one that was modified? Okay, I just have it. Okay. Alrighty. Do we need to formally do anything? Judy, put those on? We're good?
Nope.
Okay.
Just
All right. So when we go through legislation, I will remember to jump over to 9 and 10. We do have some second readings this evening, and I will entertain a motion and second that would allow us to read those. Thank you. Yep. Okay, thank you. Read those items by title only.
So
Yes.
moved.
Yep, sorry about that delay. And I'll second it. All right, all those in favor of reading the second readings by title only, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign? All right, hearing none, that motion is passed.
Petition.
You're all right. Yeah, you're all right, thank you. And Johnny was trying to tell me that, and I wouldn't listen. All right, Gavin, if you could, read petitions and communication.
Okay, the clerk will receive and file the mayor's clerk with the mayor's monthly report, and then the mayor's 2024 annual report. And then all of the following names are folks who wrote related to replacement soccer fields: Thomas Burns, Marcia Kasdorf, Christy Christoffel, Violet Unfree Curley, Sarah Fisher, Rahul Rao, Liliana Herzog, Pam Marion, Julia Lee, Pat Robinow, Josh Zinger, Laura Skidmore, Melissa Tinker, Heather Sage, Lauren Mikesell, Ken McFarland, Jackie Hempfling, and Jessica Thomas. And then Brittany Keller wrote related to remote metering, saving the day.
Okay. Thank you, Gavin. We absolutely appreciate the engagement of our citizens, and so we do thank you for your participation. All righty, now to...
And Rose and Travis, yeah,
Yeah,
for the
yeah.
metering, monitoring.
All right, the metering dynamic duo. All righty, Judy, if you could read, we're doing the second reading and a public hearing. If you could read by title only, ordinance 2025-01.
This is repealing and replacing Chapter 1256 overlay districts of the Yellow Springs zoning code.
Can I get a motion in a second, please?
So moved.
Second.
All righty. May?
Yeah, hello, Meg Leatherman, Planning and Economic Development Director for the Village. There's actually 3 ordinances that are in a row, 2025-01, 02, and 03, that are for a second reading tonight. We just opened up 01, so just pointing that out. This is a second reading in the public hearing for a zoning code or text amendment. The council had a first reading on these 3 ordinances at January 6th meeting, and the Planning Commission also held a public hearing on December 10th. And at that meeting, they voted to recommend approval of these 3 ordinances. A copy of their decision and the associated findings are included in the council packet. And public notices for both the Planning Commission meeting and the first and second reading for tonight's meeting were advertised in the Yellow Springs News. Our zoning code outlines a process for zoning code amendments, provides for 3 options for council when they're at this point in the process. This is found in Village Code Section 1280.03, and it reads that the Village Council may modify and adopt the proposed amendment. That's one option. Second, adopt it as presented by the Planning Commission, the second. And then the third is deny the amendment. And then it also goes on to say that the council may refer any proposed modifications back to the Planning Commission for additional review and recommendation. So tonight, the intent is for the council to hold a public hearing and then move forward with one of those options on the amendment. Staff is recommending approval and in line with what the Planning Commission recommended as well.
Okay.
I gave a pretty good overview at the last meeting. I don't know if you wanted me to give another overview tonight. I can, or we can just move to the public hearing.
I'd prefer to move to the public hearing, and then we'll open the floor up both to council and to the public, and then we can have you come up for questions as
Okay,
needed.
sounds great.
All right, thank you, Meg.
Thank you.
So the public hearing is now open for ordinance 2025-01. First, I want to offer the floor to my colleagues on council. Do you have any questions, comments, concerns regarding the ordinance? Okay. To the public. Again, the public hearing is open. You may come up if you would like to discuss the merits, if you would, of this particular ordinance. All right. Seeing no activity, the public hearing is now closed. And Judy, if you could call the roll.
Yes. DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Couch.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. That motion has passed. Now we're at the second reading and public hearing of ordinance 2025-02. Judy, if you could read that in by title only, please.
This is repealing and replacing Section 1260.03 driveway standards, access easements, parking and storage of the Yellow Springs zoning code.
Can I get a motion in second, please?
So moved.
Second?
All right. Meg, do you feel like you need to add anything? Okay. Council, any comments? And
I'll just
after...
throw in, like, while I have the chance, that I appreciate that we're moving forward on cleaning up some of our code issues. And Meg, thank you for your meticulous nature on that. So, yeah.
Okay. Any other council members before I open the public hearing? All right. Thank you. The public hearing is... Oh, well, just a moment, please. Let me open the door first. The public hearing is open for this ordinance, which is 2025-02. So anyone from the public may speak at this time to share your thoughts and concerns. So coming up to the mic, please, and then...
I'll speak on this one.
Okay, all righty. So you really want all 3? Okay. Cool beans. Anyone else in the public want to comment on 2025-02? And I did say council, but certainly any staff is also open. All right. Seeing no activity there, the public hearing is closed. And Judy, if you could do a roll call vote.
Yes, Gustafson.
Yes.
Brown.
Yes.
Hausch.
Yes.
DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Now we are to the eagerly awaited second reading and public hearing of ordinance 2025-03. Judy, if you could read that by title only.
This is repealing and replacing section 1268.02, applicability of the Yellow Springs zoning code to remove requirement of site plan review for permitted uses.
Can I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second?
All right. Meg, you still good? Okay.
Just because the title sounded a little unclear, this is, right now our code requires that a public hearing with the Planning Commission is held for specific uses that are identified in the code. If they have more than 5,000 square feet, I'm sorry, for permitted uses, not specific, permitted uses, if they have more than 5,000 square feet. And right now, what we would be doing is not necessarily removing the site plan review completely, but making it a staff level review with the option of being able to elevate it to the Planning Commission should there be concerns that I identify or public interest.
Okay. Thank you. Excuse me. So we will open the public hearing for Resolution 2025-03. So we are in a public hearing, and I will first open the floor, the dais, to my colleagues on council. Any comments or concerns? Questions? Okay. So the public hearing, once again, is open, and anyone who wants to speak to this ordinance, you may now step up to the mic and identify your affiliation with the village and share your concerns.
Hi, my name is Verlita Hildebrand Chambers, and I live at 716 South High Street here in Yellow Springs. I've talked to Meg about this earlier, and she knows this is not in any way, shape, or form about her or my trust in her. But it's just true that I've lost faith in the integrity of many of our elected officials over the past year. And unfortunately, that's clouding my views on many of the ordinance changes being considered. So I think transparency and integrity is vital in public service, and I've witnessed a decided lack of transparency and integrity in the manner in which the Leidick project has been handled over the past year. I don't support removing transparency and public oversight of further development. I oppose repealing and replacing sections 1168.02 of Ordinance 2025-03, which would take some of the duties away from public review under the Planning Commission and give it to the zoning director's approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
Like you're expecting me to say something. Hello, my name is Matt Raska. I support this amendment to the zoning code because the review process is one of those processes which is fraught with risk, and often developers will bake the costs of that risk into the end cost of housing for users. And anything that we can do to reduce that then amortized risk, something that we should be doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. Any other public comments? I'm trying not to make eye contact with anybody so you don't feel like
Give him the evil eye. Huh?
right. Woo, better not get
So I guess, I do want to say, I want to emphasize that what we're talking about are permitted uses under our code. So anything conditional will come back to Planning Commission and in general will be approved by council. So I think one of the things that we're really focusing on is if it's a permitted use, then we got to trust our staff to recognize that. But at the end of the day, For anyone that sees an issue, as Meg has pointed out, council will respond to that and we'll put it through a larger process. But I think it's going to really make a difference. And as has been pointed out to all of us, when you add more layers of process, you get less overall. But again, these are permitted uses. So.
Thanks, Brian, for that expansion of the discussion. Yes, go ahead, Kevin.
I appreciate the basic concept, the idea that we want to have engagement. I think the permitted use is key. It already was permitted. It's not like we're taking away the conditional. It's not reducing any transparency for us. It's actually only reducing the transparency to the degree anything's changing with staff. And I've never seen any reason to believe that staff isn't completely 100% following the letter of the law. So this isn't, if anything, it's making it less political because it's only going through staff. So the way that it was characterized at the Planning Commission is that this would basically reduce the amount of time in a permitted process by roughly a month in some circumstances, and that we're trying to just sort of clean up and make it a smoother process when it's already permitted. So I think we had some healthy conversation about this at the Planning Commission, and I think ultimately our staff has shown that they follow this process really well.
Great. Thanks for that, Kevin. Appreciate you. All right. Excuse me. Last chance. Any other public comments on 2025-03? All right. Seeing no activity, the public hearing is now closed. Judy, if you could do a roll call vote, please.
Yes. Brown.
Yes.
DeVore Leonard.
Yes.
Hausch.
Yes.
Gustafson.
Yes.
Stokes.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you all for your participation in that. Now we're going to, whoa, no, I forgot already. All right, those are 5 for the resolution. These are all resolutions. Cool. Gotcha. All righty. Judy, if you could please read Resolution 2025-05 by title only.
This is approving dues for Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission for 2025.
All right, can I get a motion and a second, please?
So moved. Second.
Okay. John, is this you, or Brian, is it you, maybe?
Yeah, maybe I'll just say, following up on what I mentioned at our last meeting, Village of Yellow Springs gets a lot of benefit from being involved with the Miami Valley Regional Planning Commission, including our recent walking audit that's going to help us think about better safety with the schools in downtown. They've helped us with a lot of different grants. In fact, the 1.8 million that we got for the Dayton Street sidewalk bike walk path is part of that. We're looking at upcoming safe routes to school applications that the village and the schools are working on together. And the list goes on. Kevin and I both attend those meetings, as well as Johnny and Meg are very involved. So it's really a great affiliation. And ultimately, if you look at the dues, it's basically about 50 cents a citizen that we pay a year to get a lot of great input on how we improve our transportation, active transportation, and so forth. So,
Brian, I appreciate that, and to reiterate what Brian said, Brian's a primary and I'm secondary liaison to MVRPC, and if you want to spend time with the movers and shakers in the region, this is a place to go. So a lot of good work gets done there. I really appreciate the information that was in the packet before, talking about the return on our investment in this membership dues. So I think it is a plus. Anyone who's been involved with any type of regional or municipal planning and development could really appreciate what's happening. And it just makes me extra proud whenever I see an MVRPC commercial on TV. It's like, hey, that's me. Yeah, so it's really, really a good thing.
And let me just jump in.
Yeah, sure.
It just made me think about that happy to chat benches, which if you guys, we haven't had the signage up yet, but some of those new benches that have been put around town were part of funding from NVRPC via the Dayton Foundation. So,
Right.
yeah.
Yep, good. So like it has been said more than once, we do benefit both locally and regionally by our involvement with the MVRPC. So I'm definitely excited to keep that going and growing. All right, any other discussion? All right, all those in favor of approving Resolution 2025-05, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Thank you much. The motion has passed. Judy, if you could now read by title only, Resolution 2025-06.
This is approving a 3-year employment contract and wage adjustment with Clerk of Council.
Okay, can I get a motion and a second, please?
So moved.
Second?
All right. So, hi.
Hello, good evening. All right, as we discussed in exec session, council had an opportunity to discuss the clerk's contract, which is up for your review tonight. The way the contract is currently drafted, it will be a 3-year contract, though there is no termination in it. There's a few little nuances in the resolution and in the contract that we need to talk through now, and we're going to make some changes on the fly here based on some of the discussion. During exec session, I think council might also be interested in adding a merit increase to this in addition to the 3.5%, which represents the annual wage increase for village employees. So we can do that as well if that's the will of council. But before we get to that discussion, I would like to ask that in the resolution, if we can strike section 3, Judy, of the resolution, because though it is a 3-year contract, it doesn't end on December 31, 2027. It will continue until terminated. So we can strike out that whole 3rd section, which was a point that Brian had made after review of the document. So that should have been done before tonight. I apologize for that. And then if you are interested in adding in merit to this, we're going to tweak section 2 of the resolution, and then we're going to also revise section 2 of the contract itself. But that is for council's discussion and deliberation. I will work through that with you if you choose to do that.
Thanks, Amy.
Amy, did you want to correct the number that's currently in Section 2 of the employment agreement?
That's an excellent point, Judy. The salary number in Section 2 of the contract right now is incorrect and needs to be tweaked regardless of what council decides to do at this point. That was just a miscommunication between myself and the finance director as to what number needed to get plugged in there. So that number in Section 2 will need to change regardless. But I think I have numbers to work with based on what council decides to do. If you decide to vote to approve merit, I have the numbers to plug in there as we work through Section 2.
So Amy, in terms of merit, would we add that to the resolution, like?
Yes, we will break out
So we
if
could
you.
replace the section 3
Exactly.
or something?
In section, in section 2, if council decides to do, to add a merit increase, then we're going to have that read that the clerk shall receive an increase of 3.5%, representative of the annual wage increase, plus a merit increase of XYZ. Now, it occurs to me as I'm standing here that one of these can be effective the first pay period of January, and one of them can only be effective after tonight. So that'll be some fun drafting to do as we stand here, but that's how that's going to have to play out, because we've got a pretty solid procedure in our finance department to not use retroactive, not to have council approve a pay increase retroactively.
Okay, so I'll launch into it, I guess.
So we got,
You-
let's start with the changes. So is Section 3 just coming out completely, or is it changing to include?
Section 3 of the resolution is coming out completely.
Okay.
If you change Section 3 to deal with the merit increase, it cleans it up a little.
We could do that. That's a
Better,
great
because
point,
that way-
Judy. Yes,
yeah.
perfect. That'll work. So then Section 2 can read as it does, but I would like to add in after that 3.5% annual wage increase. That mirrors the language from the ordinance 252, which is where that, increase stems from. So we'll add that into Section 2, leaving Section 3, but changing it to read if council decides to put a merit in there, we'll add that in there. And then it can put we can put that the merit increase will be effective from the date of this ordinance forward.
Alrighty, so let's deal with the mods one at a time. So in section 3, we're adding some language that says that we want to offer a merit increase in addition to what's already there. So I don't know the exact wording, but is that effectively what we're talking about? Modifying the existing section 3 to add a discussion of merit increase? Discussion.
Yeah, and I think what we could just borrow the first part of the section 2 and just say the clerk shall receive a merit increase of blank %. So, and then I guess we can't say effective from the first.
say from the date of this resolution.
Right, okay. So I guess to continue on that.
Well, let's you still on the merit part?
Yeah, I was gonna,
Okay,
I
okay,
guess
sorry.
I was gonna follow up on, we had a really great conversation with our clerk, and for anyone tracking our meetings, you may have noticed at the last meeting that we kind of put out there that we hadn't figured out, beyond the cost of living increase, what was gonna happen in terms of a merit increase. And, upon further discussion, and we wanted to meet with the clerk to talk about that, Judy Kittner. And so I'm going to propose that we modify section 3 to say the clerk shall receive a merit increase of 2.5% effective, when this, on this resolution date, whatever that is.
We got a motion, is there a second?
Second?
All right, so we're going to go ahead and vote on that modification. We'll do it quickly. All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, same sign? All right, thank you very much. So that motion has passed, and that change has been made to section 3, which is still alive.
Excellent. So then, which is still alive. So then section 2, salary of the contract, should read that the employee shall receive an annual salary of $70,920.46. Are we on the same page there, Judy? Is that the number you have as well? Perfect. So that will reflect the, oh, and I'd like to add in that section 2 of the contract, Judy, we're going to add in the first year of this contract, a language to that effect. So section 2 of the contract will read, the employee shall receive an annual salary of the number I just rattled off for the first year of this contract, paid biweekly, et cetera.
I'll make a motion to make that modification.
Second.
All right, thank you much. All those in favor of approving that modification, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign? Okay.
Sounds counted.
All right, good, just checking. All right, thank you. So that motion has passed. So I had 3, but we changed the 3 changes to 2. Okay. All righty. Any other discussion about the resolution after we've made those modifications?
So I just want to say I didn't make a change or suggest a change in the minutes from the last meeting, but Judy did leave out the many positive comments that we made, and so I want to make sure that gets in the minutes for this next meeting. But we all really appreciate, and I think I can speak for the entire community, having an amazing council clerk who is really engaged in the community, who is a creative problem solver, who really tries to address everyone's issues, and we're super happy. Or I'll say I'm super happy, but I think anyway.
And I will echo those sentiments. Anyone watching the meeting can see how many times I look. I do a hard look to my left. Even if I don't need to ask Judy a question, I just like knowing that she's there. So
That's what you're doing.
But Judy, yes, as Brian said, and as we've said in conversations, we definitely appreciate all you do. I could not do this job that I'm responsible for without your assistance. So I thank you for all that you do, and looking forward to a long relationship moving forward. Okay. All right, any other comments from council before we put the resolution to the vote? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving whichever resolution we're on now, got my numbers are messed up. 6, thanks, Kevin. For approving resolution 2025-06, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. Hearing none, that motion has passed. Thank you very much for your participation, and thank you once again, Judy, for all you do. Alrighty, now to 2025-07. Judy, if you could read Resolution 2025-07 by title only. Thank you, Mike.
This is supporting designation of the Buckeye Trail as a national scenic trail.
Can I get a motion in a second?
So moved.
Second?
All right. Mark, looks like you ready to share some comments?
Absolutely. Everybody in here has probably heard about the Appalachian Trail and the North Country Trail, the Pacific Crest Trail, and the Continental Divide Trail. One of the things that people don't realize is that from all of the long trails that we have in this country, the Buckeye Trail is the 8th longest long trail in the country, but it also shares the distinction, at least until the Isle of Britain gets their act together, of being the longest loop trail in the entire world. It's 1,400 plus miles, and actually it's almost 1,500 miles now with some of the changes that have been made to try and take the trail off of roadways and pavement. The Buckeye Trail comes through Yellow Springs, and as we are a trail town, the nice thing about the Buckeye Trail is presently it is the only long trail in the United States completely operated, funded, and maintained by volunteers. We're hoping to change that a little bit. 2 years ago, an act of Congress put into motion a feasibility study to see about making the Buckeye Trail a national scenic trail as a part of the National Scenic Trail System, which, by the way, the Buckeye Trail predates the National Scenic Trail System by 9 years. Wow. The Buckeye Trail presently shares 900 miles of its trail with the North Country Trail, which is the longest trail in the United States. By becoming a national scenic trail, the Buckeye Trail will essentially be assigned either a National Park Service unit or a National Forestry Service unit of its very own, which will ensure the continuance of the trail as well as bring much needed funding. And more importantly, to the village of Yellow Springs, it will bring visibility to the trail and elevate it in the national outdoor adventure and outdoor recreation scenes to help showcase the state of Ohio. The one really nice thing about the Buckeye Trail that is different from the Appalachian Trail or the Pacific Crest Trail, both of those are wilderness experiences. The Buckeye Trail is a cultural and historical experience, and literally, if you walk the Buckeye Trail, you will walk from the Stone Age to the Space Age as it goes through the Serpent Mound, through both of our canal systems, the farmland in the west, the mining lands in the east, the edge of Appalachia, and of course right here in Yellow Springs follows the historic railways that helped build this country. Mm-hmm. I've got some cards for you, and I'll leave some out on the table. These will take you to, if anybody's interested, take you to a public comment section for the National Park Service. I attended a meeting last week, Wednesday, with National Park Service, and they are absolutely excited about this because we are such a different trail.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Mark, can you highlight what...
Thanks, Mark.
Where the Buckeye Trail kind of intersects Yellow Springs?
Sure. The Buckeye Trail comes up what's known as the Little Miami Scenic Trail, which is the bike trail. And by the way, the Buckeye Trail also predates the Little Miami Scenic Trail. So it shares that area as a multimodal path. Right now, we have a memorandum of understanding with Glen Helen, which is about 8 years old. I did some quick math. That actually takes the trail through Glen Helen, and once we can come to an agreement on how that will be marked, the Buckeye Trail will actually go through Glen Helen. And that also means additional monies for Glen Helen to help with the Glen Helen Association with their mission, at least along the corridor that the trail would follow. It comes up to the train station, makes a left on Dayton Street, continues down to where I'm at 888 Dayton Street, and it takes a right there and then goes into Fairborn. The trail is changing a little bit. It recently was moved as it goes through Fairborn in Greene County to go through Pearl's Fen, and will eventually make its way through, at least that's what we're predicting, will make its way through the Beaver Creek Wetlands Association project. So it's a living, breathing thing that serves to try and preserve the outdoors and our history for many generations to come.
Nice. You want to say anything about Celebrate Trails Day?
Celebrate Trails Day is the last Saturday of April, and we're looking forward to that exciting time because it celebrates all of our trails. And I'll be chairing that again this year for the Rails to Trails Conservancy.
Nice. Thanks.
Thank you very much,
I
Mark.
want to add something really quickly.
Sure.
Another interesting historical tidbit, and we will get together and talk about the bullskin trace and a part of the trail system that was Shawnee Trail from Kentucky to Detroit. Instrumental on the Underground Railroad, right outside of Xenia, was when it was first mapped officially by Mr. Galloway. So there's a
Interesting man.
yeah, absolutely. So there's a lot to be said. Like, talk about history. right?
Absolutely. Absolutely, no question.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Nice. Appreciate that. So Johnny and Ben, the cards that Mark gave us, and Mark advised that there's a public comment period that ends February 19th of 25. Can we do something from our social media perspectives to get this out to everyone? Okay, great. Thank you. Yes.
The other thing I want to throw in is, I know Mark has approached us, and Johnny's in the loop about potential for setting up like a space for camping for folks that are on the trail and that sort of thing. So I just want to encourage that thinking to keep happening, because I think that would be a great asset for our village. So
Great. Is there a body, Brian, that's working on bringing that to pass?
yeah, I think it's the Buckeye Trail Association, but yeah.
So the Buckeye Trail Association has been working on it. It kind of has gone into a little bit of hibernation, waiting for Johnny to get his feet on the ground here. It was something that started with a discussion with Josue and I. And it's also being put on hold for a moment until we figure out what's going on with the National Park Service, because that'll mean additional monies. And again, what comes with that additional visibility of the trail and promotion of the trail is going to mean that there will be additional opportunities for funding, and those are the kind of things that right now we're waiting on. But as long as Johnny doesn't say it's dead, I don't think it's dead. And it's something I know that we'd like to do, and I need to have discussions with Chuck at the Greene County Parks and Trails since John Dobney was a part of that discussion originally, but I have not had that discussion with Chuck, although he's aware of it.
Right. Okay, great.
Yeah, we got to beat out Plain City, so anyway.
London.
Or London, yeah.
Is that? Oh, that's about later. Okay. Any other discussion? Words of encouragement? Additional trails that we want to add to the discussion? All right. So all those in favor of approving Resolution 2025-07, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, hearing none, that motion has passed. Thank you very much, and good luck to all of those of you working on this, and we're looking forward to some great news in the near future. Thank you.
Cards on the table.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark.
All righty, now if we could read by title only, Resolution 2025-08, Judy.
This is authorizing additional expenditure for legal fees for the purpose of pursuing low-income housing options.
Can I get a motion in a second, please?
So moved.
Second?
All righty. Hi, Amy.
Hello. Way back when the LIHTC project started, we undertook a process of specifically approving legal fees by resolution. Village Council was passing resolutions to approve legal fees up to a certain threshold amount as we started down the path of seeing if the LIHTC project was feasible. So at this point, we are close to, we will soon be undertaking discussions with the developer for a development agreement. There's still, of course, a lot of legal work to be done from this point forward, but we're very close to, I think, closing the chapter of exploring the possibility of whether or not this could happen. And so this is intended to at least close that loop, finish the process of council legislatively approving, specifically approving the expenditures for legal fees for LIHTC. After this point, I would expect that once the development agreement is hammered down and signed, and council will of course see that for approval before it's signed, that we will then just, as Brian said before the meeting, then we will just be looking at it as legal fees, not, you know, this specific project, exploring the possibility, and all the language that we've been using up until this point. So that is the purpose of this resolution. I asked Johnny to add it at the 11th hour last week when it occurred to me that we tapped everything else out that we've already set aside for this particular purpose. Just like I say, close the loop, get us to the point of where the agreement is signed and we're officially moving forward on an application. Happy to take any questions.
This might be a tough one, but are we able to guess, estimate how much further we might need to spend?
I don't know, because I don't know how much time the agreement to reaching agreement on a development agreement is going to take. I don't know. We just haven't had those conversations yet. We've been waiting on other things to fall into place before undertaking that step. So I really just don't know.
And Amy, you mentioned that it would, wouldn't have this long title of trying to make LIHTC happen, but just roll into general legal fees. Does that mean there's money already set aside for that and we start tapping into that?
We have our normal legal fees already encumbered, yes.
Mm-hmm.
And I suppose at this point, you know, we were approving these fees step by step with the idea that we were looking to see if the project was possible. We were looking to see if the land could be unencumbered, looking to see if the soccer fields could be, that issue could be worked out, et cetera. I don't have to remind all of you what the issues have been along the way. And we're nearing a point where that's all been determined. Mm-hmm. And so after this, yes, this will no longer be exploring the possibility, right? It'll just be moving forward on the project.
Right. Council, any questions?
I mean, I think just maybe a question, but I mean, it feels like these are pretty typical fees that a municipality would encumber, you know, with whatever kinds of development activities we are doing. So, and so I understand the distinction because it was exploratory, but I mean, does this seem unusual to you, or?
No, not at all. And we're very close to the point of this no longer being exploratory, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, this is just, like I say, I think at the onset, there was a lot of discussion of wanting that specific council approval. And so this is just a way to wrap that up and have that, that one last bit covered as we, like I say, hammer down that development agreement, which you will see.
Cool.
Hopefully soon.
All right.
In our last resolution, Johnny, remind me, didn't it read, instead of saying in the amount of, with the dollar amount, didn't it say up to?
Yes, it did. It did say up to.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a great point. Yeah, absolutely make that change.
Okay. You can make
So
that
in the
motion.
section 1 part?
Section 1 is where you'd want to change that, yes.
I'll make a motion to change the language under Section 1 in Resolution 2025-08 to read, authorizes the expenditure of further legal fees up to the amount of $20,000.
I'll second.
All right.
Can I,
Yep, yeah, go.
Can I just a question, just clear, not, I think I'm totally fine with that, but just so we're clear, we had up to 15,000 so far. This is an additional different up to 20,000,
Correct.
not from 15 to 20, correct? Or is it-
Correct, an additional.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, I'm just making sure. So
Yes.
that's all.
Okay. Well, that's an important distinction. So I'm glad you brought that up. All right. Excuse me. Any other discussion, please?
I think we need to vote on that.
On the right on the change. All right. So we had a motion and a second. All those in favor of that modification, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Hearing no action there. The modification has been made. Any further discussion now on the modified resolution? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving Resolution 2025-08, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, hearing none, that motion has passed. Now we get to go.
So Kevin, I'm cautioned by Johnny Burns that we need to read Resolution 2510 before we read 2509.
Okay, that makes sense everywhere in the world, I'm sure. But I got you, definitely makes sense. Bless you. Bless you once again. So before I say anything about 10, it's very informative. Do we need to maybe read it in its entirety?
That's entirely your call. Most folks will not have seen this.
Yep, that's why I asked. All right, yes.
Is the stuff that we have, is it available to other people, or?
It will be, yes.
Okay.
Will be. Yeah.
It's not now, but it'll be afterwards, you're saying?
Okay. So Judy, I am going to ask then, any other questions before I move on? Okay, so I'm going to ask that if you could please read Resolution 2025-10 in its entirety.
This is approving $100,000 towards completion of new community soccer fields. Whereas Council for the Village of Yellow Springs has engaged in efforts to obtain land both suitable and eligible for grant opportunities for development as low-income housing, and acknowledges that should the 3.6 acres identified receive funding for development, it will displace community recreational soccer fields now in use by village youth. And whereas Council appreciates the generous offer made by developer Woda Cooper of $200,000 of development efforts to convert donated land into recreational soccer fields, and whereas the Yellow Springs Community Foundation has likewise generously offered to provide $100,000 in funds contingent upon a village match to assure that adequate funding exists to convert said donated land into recreational soccer fields. Now therefore, Council for the Village of Yellow Springs, Ohio hereby resolves that, Section 1, Village Council authorizes $100,000 to be used to cover contingencies associated with construction of new community soccer fields. Section 2, this contribution is contingent upon the award of LIHTC credits by the Ohio Housing Finance Agency for low-income housing development on the identified 3.6 acres and Woda Cooper's subsequent donation of $200,000 of in-kind construction work to develop the new community recreational soccer fields as described in Attachment A, attached. Section 3, this contribution is further contingent upon the offer and conditions set forth by the Yellow Springs Community Foundation, attached here to as Attachment B.
Thank you, Judy. Can I get a motion in a second, please?
So moved.
All right. Johnny?
All right, so the reason why it is out here is because we just finished this literally 30 minutes before the meeting. So I'm not going to read it word for word like we just did, Judy, but I'm going to give you an overview of so I did attend the school board meeting on Friday.
Thank you.
And presented them the same information. I'm asking council to approve $100,000 we set aside for affordable housing to be able to put into this, to be able to match or to get a grant offer from the Community Foundation to throw in the same money as Woda Cooper did as in kind. Plus, and if you look at the memo, there's $289,000 from the school. The school has obligations for $50,000. They were selling the property for $339,000. In the land donation, they have contingencies already that they had to hold the money back for later to be able to get the title, to be able to get some things done. So they had to hold back $50,000. Woda Cooper is fully aware of that. So $289,000 would come from the schools, $200,000 from in-kind services from Woda Cooper. If council chooses to tap into the gracious offer from the Community Foundation and put in $100,000, the Community Foundation will put in $100,000, and all that will be towards the soccer fields. Any leftover will remain in the Community Foundation for ongoing maintenance and to make sure that we have the things done correctly. The reason why I had you do 10 first is if this does not pass, or if my request or my ask from council does not pass, the $100,000 comes off the table. Then we go back to the school board and we start this whole thing. We are trying to get it over the finish line so we can submit a great application. This is the last hurdle, and that's the reason why I'm asking council to work with me on this endeavor to try to get it over the finish line.
So it's what, 489 roughly?
It is.
Together, 689.
So wait.
I mean, ultimately, 739
Hold up.
is what
Okay.
is being.
Somebody
Okay.
math for me.
Okay,
Somebody
so-
math for me.
289 is from the sale price.
Right.
200 in kind from Wardo Cooper. $100,000 from the Community Foundation.
Right.
And $100,000 from the village. That is 689.
Okay, gotcha.
But it's appropriate to say 739,000 because, I mean, that is going to partly cover, the expenses that the schools have.
Yeah,
So, I mean-
739
I mean,
gross, yeah.
Total, like,
Well,
math is
I'm
being
removing the $50,000, we don't want to even
We
think
can't
about
touch
that.
that.
That's
Right.
obligated for at the school level already, so I want to focus on the 689. And we feel that we can get it done above and beyond that, and that would allow for ongoing things for the community soccer to be able to flourish and still be a driving force in the community.
So a lot of work has been done, and a lot of folks have done a lot of good work, but I want to applaud Village Manager Johnny Burns for shaking the bushes and pulling up the couch cushions and doing all of that.
I'm glad you said that because I wanted to say the same. I don't want anyone to leave here and take credit for Johnny's work, as people want to do. He's worked diligently on this. We have this because of his efforts, He's the one that's gone behind the scenes to make sure that this all comes together.
Ditto, ditto,
I'm echoing sentiment.
show enough.
So,
You got any more
anyone taking
colloquialisms?
credit, that was Johnny Burns.
You ain't never lied. That was,
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm getting too deep.
No, it's all right.
So yeah, and so yes, we want to recognize that there's been a great deal of work done. I mean, I cannot spend too many words saying how proud I am, Johnny, to have you as our leader regarding the village government and just having the mindset to try to bring some of these things together. Because it's sometimes they're just the facts that these folks are dealing with. Sometimes it's the personalities and the presentation, that saves the day. And I would, again, want to commend Johnny for his professionalism, his perseverance, can't come up with any more P words, his persistence in getting this done. So we, the entire village, regardless of where you fall in the spectrum regarding this project, Johnny, motivated by what is in the best interest of the village, has almost taken it upon himself to really drive the last few steps of this process. So, I could go on, but I know we want to leave here sometime. But I could spend the rest of the evening really talking about how great a job Johnny has done to make this happen. So, thank you for Johnny for explaining and sharing the details. Council, any other comments or questions?
Well, I think it's good just to, since folks haven't seen the documents, but we do have the letter of commitment from the Community Foundation. If we do make that leverage our affordable housing fund to secure that additional 100,000. So this is public documentation, but yeah, you would not have been able to see it.
Yep.
Yeah.
Included in that, Brian, is also the letter from Wardo Cooper.
WOTA's commitment, yeah, thank you.
So,
And so we could, I mean, I'll give Wardo Cooper a great deal of credit as well. but they hadn't considered this contribution until Johnny proposed it to them. So, thank you for Woda, Cooper, and the team, but we've got a gym here, folks, and so I'm going to stop pontificating and politicking for Johnny. Just, a word, again, there just aren't enough words to say.
So before we take comments, I'm going to make one motion to modify Section 2 to say donation of up to 200,000, since my understanding is that's the language we've been using with Woda Cooper.
Yes.
So,
You got that,
And we
Judy?
need to clarify Section 1, that this is what's already been budgeted for 2025.
I don't think it's necessary. I mean, it's not a problem one way or the other, if you all feel it'd be more clear, and it might avoid a question being asked.
so what's saying, like, from the Affordable Housing Fund?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
So we
Sorry.
yes.
Are we sure that this money can come from the Affordable Housing Fund, since it will be going towards the recreational soccer fields? I don't know if that conversation was had with Michelle today or not.
What comes out of the general fund as well.
Okay, that would be fine. General fund will be fine. I
So-
just,
That was the question I had. Has that $100,000 that was earmarked for affordable housing been moved into affordable housing?
I would say yes.
I think on that, I think we probably are safer to maybe not do that modification, just to keep things clear that, and don't hem ourselves into a corner. Right? So the Section 1 proposed modification.
well, the best case scenario, I think, would be to leave, in the absence of Michelle and being able to look at this, I think it, more closely, I think would be to leave ourselves open to both options. So, why don't we, where is our Section 1? And what change were you looking to make, Trish, or Brian, whichever one was making that?
From the Affordable Housing Fund?
Yeah.
We can do it from the general fund, and we can put the money from the affordable back in the general fund, transfer it back in.
So why don't we, if we can add at the end of Section 1, let's add to accommodate the development of affordable housing? And then,
And then there's not an issue.
well, and then we can see what we can do with that, with the finance director.
Okay, so I'll add that to my motion, to add to Section 1 to accommodate affordable housing, and then Section 2 was the up to 200,000.
Okay. So, more comments? I want to call the vote on the modification.
So I have the motion, I don't have a second.
I'll second.
Okay.
I guess I have a question in case it changes the modification. I just, so when we've talked about this, I guess one of the pieces that was sort of outstanding was the idea that there were legal costs for the schools, and a question of whether we could help make them whole.
That's what that 50,000 was about. That's why, I mean, so that's why I think it's 739, but what that 50,000 was talking about their legal costs and the road, so.
Is that your understanding?
This is correct. This is correct.
Okay, so this is going to give us the flexibility to make sure, okay.
Okay. So, we are going to first vote on, we'll do one vote for the two modifications. Section 1, we're going to add to the end of it to accommodate affordable housing. And then in Section 2, we will say up to $200,000. All right, all those in favor of those two modifications, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Same sign. Okay, hearing none. So we now have a modified resolution. Any additional discussion before we vote? All right, hearing none. All those in favor of approving the amended version of Resolution 2025-10, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, hearing none, that motion has passed. Thank you, everyone, and thank you once again to Village Manager Johnny Burns. Now we're going, Judy, if you could read by title only. Resolution 2025-09.
This is approving an amended option to purchase agreement with Yellow Springs Exempted Village School District.
Can I get a motion in a second, please?
So moved.
Second?
All right, Johnny, I presume this might be you, unless it may.
This is, it can be either me, Amy, or this is to remove. Do you want to go and speak?
Sure, yeah, this is on Friday at the school board meeting. The school board voted to remove, there were 2 option contingencies in the option agreement between village and schools. This is the agreement that if the LIHTC project is approved, that's contingency 1, we have the option to purchase the land from the school district. There was a second option contingency that related to the development of soccer fields. The school board voted on Friday to remove that. In order for the option agreement to be amended, both school board and village council have to vote on that change. So the only change that's in the amended option to purchase agreement that you have is in relation to section 2E, which used to have 2 option contingencies and now only has the 1, which is that the LIHTC credits are awarded by OFA. Any questions?
No. I don't have any. Any other?
I want to comment after we vote, but I don't have anything to say right now.
Okay, so we're not modifying anything. All the modifications have been made already. All right, so if there's no other discussion, I will call the vote right now. So all those in favor of passing Resolution 2025-09, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed, same sign. All right, hearing none, that motion is passed. And Brian?
Yeah, I kind of want to say, woohoo! But,
Judy, did you get that? Is it going to be in the
yes,
record?
yes, in caps. I think this is really a time to celebrate as a community, and I want to thank so many people, including the Joneses, for their generous donation of land. That is part of why the school board and village council have been comfortable with moving forward. Secondly, I want to thank the school board. The diligence that you guys have done has been amazing, and thank you for coming to the table and working with us. It's going to be a game changer, and that's win number 1 is, what I see for the schools is not only the replacement land, and I will say we're going to have better fields, especially in terms of the accessibility. My nephews were out there, and you could not get a mobility device out there currently. We will make sure that happens. Second win is I want to talk about the youth soccer folks and just our community sports programs in general. I know this has been rough and tough, but thanks for, again, I read something about taking the leap of faith. I know the communications haven't been great. We are working on a debrief with that, but, that's the second win in my mind is our youth soccer is going to be protected and stronger for it. And then thirdly is the win for our community. And I want to thank Village Council. I want to thank all the folks that have worked on this because, 50 family affordable apartments is going to be amazing. And I don't want to forget, beyond the diversity, the students, and all the things that we are making sure are happening is I think about revenues. And so we're going to be bringing in more folks that are going to be paying the levies, helping to reduce cost of living, bringing in income tax, property tax, and that makes sure that as a village and as a school board, we can do all the great things that we do as a small community. So Yeah, I mean, Johnny says it all the time, we don't celebrate enough. And I really, it was moving for me, and I'm about to cut it off, you know, Friday to see how everybody really came together. And, you know, again, nothing worth having is going to be easy. So I'm sorry to everybody that it's been a little bit yucky. We'll do better. I think we always learn from our lessons, but, you know, this is part of the process. So anyway, thanks everyone.
Yep. And Brian, I want to thank you for the work that you've done. I mean, you've worked tirelessly on this as our representative. Carmen, you've got skin in the game. Gavin, you as well. Trish, I'll just thank all of you for what you've done.
And Meg.
Super Meg.
Yep.
I'm not a pilot, but I understand you can take a plane up to a certain point, and at some point you get above the bug line, where you're high enough up where the bugs don't bother you. This is where I'd like for us to stay, above the bug line. There's been lots of things said all over the place. Someone advised me that it would not be in the best interest of my mental health to read some of the comments online and other places. And I would submit that we got to where we are by ignoring or not seeing, you know, what tends to be sometimes negative commentary. So we'll echo Brian's comments and just say we did it because we did have a singular goal in mind. And I sound like Joe Biden. There's nothing we can't do if we're together. If we're not together, if we're together, there's nothing we couldn't accomplish. So I want to commend again everyone who's been involved, and just ask yourself how helpful some of the commentary has been, but and then try to encourage us to stay, like I said, above the bug line.
Or hateful, right?
Yeah, yeah. Just there's been a lot that's not been helpful, but I think I again want to focus on the accomplishments. Obviously, in anything, to Brian's point, anything that's hard requires a lot of effort, and so there might be some collateral damage, if you will. But to the degree that we can control that ourselves, I would encourage us to really do the best we can, and let this just be one example of many of what we as a community can do if we put our minds to it, and remember the kindness banner. That's part of what we're known for, and we can live it or not. So thank you again for everyone who has put their shoulder to the wheel to get us here. Thank you once again. So can someone remind me where I am? So, all right, we're completely done with 9. We've got all this paper. I want to make sure I'm done with it. All righty. Thank you for helping keep me on the straight and narrow. So we're now to citizen concerns. This is the part of the meeting where you are allowed 3 minutes to say whatever you want to say. That is not completely true. You get to talk about whatever you want to talk about, but we'd like for you to consider the decorum of the room and respect for others and their time. And if you were prepared to speak and someone else speaks before you do, and they say verbatim or thereabouts everything you had to say, if you're going to come up, please add to it, and as opposed to repeating it. Our fancy new digital clock up there will be the timekeeper, and we ask that you try to maintain your comments to within that 3-minute limit. So, citizen concerns. Gino.
All right, thank you, Dino Palatas, citizen. Again, reiterate, thank you, Johnny, for all the work that you guys did, that your staff's done on this. Thanks to the Jones family. for their donation to make this possible. Thanks to WODA for their $200,000 contribution as compared to all the other RFPs that came in that didn't include that, that was really put everything over the edge. And thanks to council for your continued, that you voted unanimous on this, and to continue to vote unanimous on this, get this application going forward and push it forward to make this thing, let's just get it to the end of the road so Wolfus can do what they've got to do. Lastly, CB, it's been a year for the CB that's been that it's been for sale. Want to get a status report, see where it stands, what you've got going. Thank you.
Right. Thank you, Dino. Okay, good enough. Thanks. All right, I'm sorry, Mitzi, I'm sorry.
Before you start my 3 minutes, I just, during
Is this an
reading
accommodation?
reading of the resolution, since we're not allowed to say anything, could you share with me, as a council, where you're getting that 20,000 additional money, where that's coming from?
Let's do that offline.
Okay. And the other question was, which I think is pertinent, if you would share how much the appraisal was that you got with the public as well.
Okay, certainly.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay. As a property owner and resident of Yellow Springs, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Johnny Burns, Tanner Buzzy, our street crews for clearing our streets and sidewalks. I'd also like to thank our village manager and staff for putting a notice in the village website reminding residents the importance of clearing their sidewalks. This is really important because it affects pedestrians, delivery individuals, mail carriers, children, students, and individuals with disabilities, and also those people walking their dogs. No one should have to use the road as a sidewalk. According to the ordinance 660.05, all property owners and occupants are required to remove accumulating snow and ice from the sidewalks within 24 hours of an end of a snow or ice fall. This is a nice time for residents and individuals to help others out, especially our seniors who are finding it very difficult to clear their sidewalks. This will ensure we all provide safe routes to school for our students, pedestrians, people using assistive devices like scooters, canes, wheelchairs, and walkers. By our village modeling this behavior by clearing their own sidewalks, multipaths, safe routes to school, clearing crosswalks, and blocked driveways of accumulating snow, you're sending a clear message to our community. Safety is a high priority for our village, and that safety will come first. Thank you.
Thank you, Mitzi. So I just wonder, 24 hours, I mean, our snow is getting bigger and heavier. Do we need to consider giving ourselves a bit more time?
We can look into it. It is a lot to move when you get 10 to 12 inches at one time, and then 2 days later you get another 5 on top of it. That is the reason why it took us a little bit to do our own sidewalks, because we was getting the streets open, but some people are just not making an effort, and that's where Mitzi is asking. You have to make an effort, we understand, and we have older people in the community, but we also have a lot of younger people and neighbors that could help out as well. So remember that kindness banner that you was just referring to.
Yep, indeed. And also, for those of us who have post office boxes or mailboxes at the curb, the U.S. Postal Service appreciates us when we can clear out the area right around so that they can drive their vehicle up to the box and put all of our very important correspondence there. So just remember that, please. All right, additional citizen concerns. Yep.
Rebecca Potter. So I'm talking from the school board, and just really brief. First of all, there's a lot of thanks going around. I realize I should also be wearing a red shirt, but pink will have to do.
Yeah. That's close enough. Yeah. Well, let's see. OH? No? All right, no, pink won't do. Pink won't do.
I did watch the game last night for Ohio
So you
State.
see how it's supposed to be done.
I just wanted to, one name to put out there for thanks, and that's Terry Holden, our superintendent, who really worked hard on this, especially this last week as all of those documents were coming in, but through the entire process. So I wanted to put that out there. And also to echo something that Brian said, there is, I think, a real need to get the full information about this project out there, especially if it gets awarded, because yes, I think there are still a lot of questions, like, for how long is the affordable housing? It's for 30 years. What was the estimate? It was for a fair market value. All the questions that we've been hearing repeatedly, and so I hope that the schools in the village can work on that going forward. But thanks again, everyone.
Thank you, Rebecca.
Real quick, with Terry, I would hope that those thanks would be reiterated at your own meeting, and I would encourage you even to put a letter in her personnel file. I think that would go a long way with everything that's transpired over the last few weeks with respect to her.
Yes, and it was reiterated on the Friday meeting, and we'll make sure that happens.
Very good.
Thank you, Trish. That's a very, very good idea. Yes.
Hi, Rolita Hildebrand, citizen of Yellow Springs. So I sort of took offense to your bug line comment, Mr. President.
Yes.
Because I happen to be a person who doesn't believe that the ends justify the means. And I think it's very important for people who are in elected positions to maintain transparency and integrity in everything we do. And that includes listening to people from the community who may not agree with you and your personal opinions, and looking at the good of the community. I can't thank Johnny Burns enough for doing what he personally did, because I sat through all the school board meetings with Rebecca Potter and Judith Hempfling and then Amy Magnus trying to convince us that a measly $289,000 was going to pay the bill, when everyone knows that it's not. I mean, Mr. Burns got a budget estimate. We've added to that budget estimate, but we don't even know, because the program estimate hasn't been done, if that outrageous number of $689,000 is going to do the trick. So I'm just saying, I don't consider myself a bug, because I'm speaking truth to power. And I'm calling for transparency, because in every other organization, and I spent 30 years working in the federal government, elected officials and people who are in government positions use their government emails to conduct government business for the purposes of making public record requests available. Not just when you're sitting on the seat, for information assurance, for public records requests, and for historical records when you're gone. Those that are on the server can be pulled easily, and it doesn't go to the village staff, in this case, the clerk, to have to track down personal emails. When I know, in fact, that you all have communicated beyond your council positions with certain lobbyists here in the audience about wanting to get this low-income housing project through. And I'm not against low-income housing, but what I am against is when you go outside and start working with people outside of your government position, it really erodes trust. And there are a lot of people in this community who have no trust. Now, I will say that the people sitting up here are nothing compared to the people on the school board who purposefully went outside their government emails to conduct business on this so they wouldn't be held accountable. And we still haven't seen those emails. Thank you very much I would ask that you actually create a policy for yourselves that says you're going to use your government email, your village council email for business, and not your personal email, so that you will be held to a common standard, and those emails will be easily requested, pulled when the time is necessary, whether it's now or 30 years down the road. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Hildebrand, for your comments, and to the degree that you were offended by my comments, I do apologize for any offense. There was no offense meant by my comments. Thank you. Sure. Any of this? Yes. Melissa, you started. Yeah, walking several steps is more effort than a hand.
I'm standing up. My name is Melissa Heston. I'm a community member. I'm concerned about the validity of the sale of Morgan Fields. I'm concerned and have reason to believe that the former school board president never really followed the directions of the ORC 3313.41. These are rules and they are law. Show us the data and prove that it's in the best interest of our schools and its mission. I've never seen any data to prove it. I've never seen any data to prove its validity. To me and the others, it's just marketing. Do you all have data on this? Although the Morgan Fields appear to be just land, some say bumpy land at that, there's actually a building on that land, and it's been the institution of years of school athletics and community soccer. Land that was given by a generous donor, built and cared for by thousands and thousands of volunteer hours and private funds. There is other land available in town, maybe scoring a few points less, but much less contested as this one. We elected the school board by vote. They took an oath to put the schools and the children first. Yet in this case, they overrode the advice and ignored the best judgment of our professional staff, tying their hands for almost a year and rendering their judgment void. We know this is not in their purview to sell school assets for affordable housing and to only one buyer. This land was never for sale, and it was never went up for auction to other bidders. Asked the Greene County ESC about this. They heard about this transaction after the fact. I ask you, council, is this how you want to conduct business? Knowing that these 2024 school board majority voters violated their oaths of office, breached their fiduciary responsibility, and broke several codes of ethics in their bylaws, all for this one LIHTC project. Council, did you do your homework, your legal homework? In soccer, if there's a foul committed, a referee doesn't see it, it didn't happen. In professional soccer, if a referee calls into question a possible foul, they look at the VAR recording from all angles. Our community has required public records requests, including hours of video footage, and engaged the law. Village Council, I implore you to do the right thing. Enter into ethical business transactions. We elected you to make good decisions on behalf of our community. The school district and its supporters make up a big chunk of this voting community. You have other choices and other options, and yes, it takes time and it's a long process. You should question your fellow council members' decisions on this. This community has weighed in, both the board and the council, over the past year. Do the right thing, act and vote with integrity on behalf of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Melissa. Emily? Was it you, Emily? Yes. Okay.
Hi, Emily Seibel, Executive Director of Yellow Springs Home Inc., and I just wanted to take a moment to say I did read a lot of the comments, or all the comments, I don't know, but I just want to acknowledge that I think there is a real opportunity for us to intentionally heal and come together as a community as we move forward. But I want to acknowledge the significance of this moment, because over a year ago, when we first approached council with this opportunity, when the scoring was so good, I don't think any of us imagined that all of the steps that would be required and that we would get to this point. So I just want to thank everybody, and especially Johnny Burns, for having the courage and determination to make this possible. I know I left you a voicemail right after the meeting, but I wanted to say it in public too. I think I said something to the effect of you demonstrated some really fine leadership, hell of a good job, something to that effect. Yeah, anyway, so I just wanted to say that, and we are excited to roll up our sleeves and work with WOTA Cooper. We've started those conversations, though nothing is formal yet. I think we're ready for this. But I also wanted to come up to say that the program that you helped seed fund several years ago, and the amount of $12,000 has grown, And so we are actively accepting home repair grant applications right now. We anticipate putting at least $500,000 through across a variety of programs into this. We don't need a match from you this year. We were able to find it through outside funding sources through the Centerpoint Energy Foundation. And we anticipate awarding a number of projects. So if you know anyone, if anyone watching this thinks they might have a home repair need that they could use a grant for, we just encourage you to reach out, and then we can get you more information. So please share the word. This is a really good program, and we're able to help a lot more families than we are just through the affordable housing development. So thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Have we promoted that on our social media?
I think so. The repair grant.
Okay.
I know
It'd be great if we could.
I don't know if it was an article or just a little blurb in the paper recently.
Yeah,
Thank
I mean,
you.
I've seen that recently, yeah, so
Yeah.
be great if we could promote it.
Okay. You got?
Any
Okay.
more citizen concerns?
Yes. Are you a plant?
Hi. Okay. Dorothy and I are expressing ourselves as individual board members, and we are not representing the school board as a whole. Both Dorothy and I strongly support the need for affordable housing in Yellow Springs. However, this LIHTC project is not a straight fit for our community for reasons many have well articulated, specifically around the risks yet to be fully mitigated. This project has diverted administrators from essential duties and raised concerns about our ability to stay focused on priorities. If the grant is awarded, the project will still impose additional operational challenges on the district. Additionally, key members of the LIHTC task force, including Johnny Burns, Dr. Holden, and Carmen Brown, were deliberately excluded from internal communications, while the other 3 elected officials prioritized input from Home Inc.'s lawyers, and Springers for More Springers regarding privileged government information. This exclusion sidelined critical voices and fostered a false narrative equating skepticism with affordable housing, with being anti-affordable housing. Dorothy and I may have voted differently on the LIHTC project this past week, but we are united in urging the Village Council to take these actions to mitigate its shortcomings. Number 1 is to dedicate the remaining $100,000, which you did tonight. You're off to a good start. Number 2, honor Mr. Burns' commitment to oversee WOTA's in-kind donations and complete the replacement soccer fields as part of his official duties. His attempts to make the school district whole were vital to the school board's approval of this project. Number 3, prioritize the needs of the ESC, which provides 200 jobs in Yellow Springs. Effective planning is critical to support the ESC's operations and their express need for expansion, which this project will impact. Number 4, appoint a new council liaison to the school board. An email from Brian to Judith following our meeting in September said, quote, "But Dorothy is crazy, as this email highlights, and she needs to be ignored, and we cannot lose our sanity over her and Amy Bailey's insanity. Dismissing us as crazy and insane is unacceptable and reflects harmful, historically gendered practices used to silence advocates. This only creates division and is unacceptable from a council member." Finally, our deepest gratitude and apologies to the school and the village administrators, Dr. Holden, Jay McGrath, Jeff Eyrich, Johnny Burns, Judy Kittner, Meg Letherman, and others who were tasked with navigating challenges not of their making. Despite constant setbacks and unwarranted questioning of your expertise, you found solutions and your dedication has not gone unnoticed. We must return to our priorities as the district has buildings to renovate and the village must determine whether to propose a new levy. We urge the community to support our administration and demand a higher standard of ethics and accountability from elected officials because our village and children deserve nothing less. Mr. Burns, thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Additional citizen concern?
No, that's not right. This is why this project has
had such a bad rap from the beginning is because of this type of engagement. This shouldn't be happening.
I mean, I'm not going to make any comment, but I'm just going to say, don't think things out of context, which is happening all the time.
Any other
I will
citizens?
say, citizen concerns are for citizens to express their concerns, period.
Yep.
Does anybody else have any concerns?
Yep. Oops. Ooh. Sorry. Who'll be next, Matt?
Hey, April Wolford, community member and local business owner, and also on the board of Home Inc. Tonight I speak as a citizen. I want to join in and thank you all for the work that you put together to do this, to Johnny, to the school board leadership for their persistence in making this, beneficial project, and also to the intergovernmental group, which is something that I think you haven't talked enough about in this situation. On Friday, the presentation to the school board, I thought was excellent. Johnny's presentation, the communication with the school board leadership about the work that had been done in the intergovernmental group was inspiring. I will say that, and I hope it continues. I think that that's a kind of model that can really help the village function and to coordinate, especially in projects of this scale. And I also want to say that lobbyists is a technical term, and there are no lobbyists in this room as far as I know. And that ethical concerns that are being raised without evidence is also extremely concerning.
Thank you, April. Matt?
Hello, Matt Raska. I would like to say thank you to Village Council and Village Manager and everyone involved in making this low-income housing tax credit application possible. And I would just like to note that even if, everything falls through, because OFA can give the money to someone else, I think we as a community did a really good job of putting our money where our mouth was. I hope it bodes well for the future. I gotta go home. Bye.
Thank you, Matt. Thank you. And we're not, we don't typically respond to comments, but Matt did remind me of something I wanted to say, and I think others have alluded to it. The very best we can do is to put together a good application. And I think that is what we are in the process of doing. That has been, without saying it that way, that's been our goal all along. It's been referred to as we don't want to be the ones to kill it, or things of that nature. But I am glad that we've gotten where we've gotten, and I would accentuate the positives. So thank you again to everyone who's contributed to getting us this far. Jessica, you look like you want to step up.
Hi, Jessica Thomas. I live here in town. I just, again, would like to express my thanks and appreciate all of the conversations that I've been able to have with actually the majority of people sitting at the dais about this project, and conversations that I've been able to have with school board members, including ones who were in opposition, who came to my house to talk about Springers for More Springers, and what our aims were with LIHTC. And I'd like us to just continue to think about the fact that the way things have been done in the past are not always going to work for the future, with our election results, with the way that executive orders are rapidly coming down, the way our state government is rapidly trying to change the way that we function in schools, outside of schools, and as governments in general. It's time for us to continue to think outside of the box in order to serve all of our community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica. Additional citizen concerns? Going once, going twice, and we're moving on to the next agenda item, which my computer is closed. The special reports. Who's got next up for the special report? Is that good, Jenny?
That's me.
Yes, the clerk's report, indeed. The annual report.
All right, so just give you a quick highlight, which this is. Over the course of 2024, you had a total of 30 council meetings. 23 of those were regular, 2 were team building sessions, 2 were special meetings. 1 was regarding LIHTC and another joint meeting with the school board regarding LIHTC. 1 was for purposes of conducting an interview, and 2 were budget sessions in preparation for passage of the 2025 budget. That was 29 packets, 30 sets of meeting minutes, and a lot of reading and time in meetings. 24 ordinances were researched, written, reviewed, rewritten, re-reviewed, re-rewritten. 21 of those made it to the table for council consideration. 4 of those ordinances had to do with zoning code, 2 rezoning and map amendments, 1 plat approval, 1 text amendment. And those ordinances would not have been brought to council without extensive work done by the zoning administrator, planning commission, and the village solicitor. Of the 24 ordinances written in 2024, 21 were brought before council. There were 44 ordinances in 2023. The disparity there is in the far fewer text amendments that we brought in 2024. 78 resolutions were written, 72 made it to council table, 9 meetings of planning commission, BZA met 6 times, records commission met twice, and there was communication to departments regarding those records, record disposal, all those sorts of things. There were 5 sunshine law trainings, mostly with really little wee groups of people. Public records requests, this was a fairly high request year for YSPD. And I will say the YSPD records clerk and the redactions officer do the heavy lift on that. I am, however, charged with reviewing all the redactions, listing the redactions, and making sure that those requests go out. There were a total of 266 records requests from YSPD processed in 2024. All the others were as requests for various of your emails, requests for various ordinances, those sorts of things. There were 33 such requests in 2024. So that's a little tiny bit of insight into other things that I do when I'm not up here having fun.
Yeah. And being one half of my brain from time to time, countless times, I'm sure. All right.
And
yes.
Just so 2 things. So Judy, records requests this year versus prior years?
Higher. We had about
Higher this year.
28 for all other requests in 2023 as opposed to 33 in 2024, and PD had 164 in 2023 as opposed to 266 in 2024.
Okay.
And with the onslaught of body camera requests for body camera footage, let me tell you, that is some work.
Yeah.
Redacting, reviewing, and tagging the redactions on
We did
those.
a little bit of that. We had a little bit of that.
Yep. And then, you want to say anything about your treasurer role?
I am, well, treasurer role is kind of mercifully simple. It's watch Star Ohio, watch the interest rate, talk to Brett about what's happening with bonds. Oops, follow what's happening with West Banco and try to make sure we move money accordingly.
Cool.
Okay.
Thanks.
Any other comments, questions from Dais? All righty. Thank you, Judy, for that, and thank you for all of the work that you do. That is documented and that is not. Oh, manager's report. All righty.
All right, now we're getting the fun stuff, so everybody want to leave now. All right. First, I want to say thank you to Track Electric. In December, when we was able to have you guys not here, we can actually now see the new lights in here are fantastic. You can actually see across the room and be able to see.
I love it.
We have a surgery scheduled right after that.
Right.
So they are dimmable. We actually, they're all LED as well. Snow removal, I touched earlier about that, but we did have 10 to 12 inches. The first fall, 2 days later, we had another 5 inches. And last time we ordered salt was in 22, by the way. Needless to say, the second day of the 10 inches of fall, we had 200 tons sitting at our front gate. So we're back stocked up and ready to go. Hopefully we can carry it on for a couple more years, because I'm okay with not laying salt down.
Gotcha. Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Do we use that salt to make the brine?
We do not.
Okay.
And I was just getting ready to go in there.
Okay.
Thanks for the
Sure.
segue into that.
Sure.
So we do not. We could, but it causes the machine to have problems.
Okay.
So we just get a skid of salt from a local vendor, and we make it with regular salt. That way it's not got sand and everything else in it. So, we contribute a lot of the salt savings to the brine application. So you'll see brine, once it gets this cold, and there's actually stuff on the ground, we're not putting brine down, we'll just have to plow it and scrape it off and put salt down.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say a big thank you to the crews, even for the, we had a lot of crews in, but we also had people stay home because we closed the Bryan Center. But we still had staff members working from home, doing their jobs and getting things done. We had a couple of the electric people on standby. We didn't want them to come in, so we was able to maneuver things around and still made things work. Let's see, I'm looking here at my notes. We did start something new this month in January. We've always done training with Public Works. But we have went one step further. We should be training safety for everybody in the staff. So I have made it mandatory that you have to be at one of the two trainings. If you have an excuse, you have to give it to your supervisor. So we had excellent training the first time. Everybody was there. Some people didn't like it, but after they got done listening to the training, they're like, now I know why we're here. So it's going over good. We're actually getting some safety posters, though you'll see in and around the Bryan Center. You may see some of them there. You may see them Public Works facilities and all that. During the snow apocalypse, if that's what you want to call it, we managed to hold the Dayton area managers and mayors meeting and we hosted it at the Mills Park Hotel. They did a fantastic job. Shout out to them. All we did was we reserved it, and Dayton area mayors and managers took it over from there. We actually hosted our veteran was Centerpoint, sorry, not veteran. Centerpoint come in and told us what they was getting ready to take to PUCO, which you all got it in your mails already. They don't know if it's going to pass. There could be an increase coming from them within another couple of years. But we also brought in Cresco to give a presentation on what we're doing here in Yellow Springs with Cresco. So Cresco, Joe did a fantastic job. Matt Ryan was supposed to be flying in, but he had cold and illness in his house, and so he stayed put. So Joe found out the day of that he was presenting and did a fantastic job. In 2024, after you issue the legalized marijuana come in, they went from having 85 employees to 145 employees. That's a 71% increase in workforce. And they're looking to still hire more later in the year this year. So Joe did a great job. It was actually received a lot better than what I thought it was going to be. And I think people realized that they may have missed a boat to a great company that we was able to snag when nobody else wanted to snag. So again, thanks to Cresco and Joe for doing a great job. New dispatcher, Sarah Crosby, coming to work for us. She comes in with 10 years of experience, which made training like nothing. So she is on board. She's a great lady to work with. She's been doing a fantastic job, and there's a little bit about Sarah in the manager's report there. Another thing that we've been doing here is new staff or even existing staff that does not know if somebody calls up even what the water plant looks like. So we have been implementing that staff members go to, we give them a tour. So this time it was like think it was Linda, Elise, Michelle, and Cameron. They toured the wastewater, the water. So when people call, they actually have a visual of at least where they're talking about, and they'll know who to send the call to. So that's going good. We probably will be doing the same thing with council members. We probably to be doing the same thing with the local fire department as well, because they got to get in and make sure that they know where all the facilities are that we have been doing over the last couple of years.
So you're saying we need an update?
You do need an update,
Okay.
because a lot of things have changed in the last 5-6 years.
Cool.
So Paige was not able to update due to the other situation that we had in town, so we didn't want to, we just left the information in there. They started the interviews today for the new position. We had a lot of applicants, so there will be multiple days of interviewing, so that is going well. Meg and her department, 3 zoning permits, 1 building permit. She was able to go out and go to do some things. She's working with the YSDC again, or started to work with the YSDC. We're getting our hands involved in that. We met with Allison Moody. Dino, that was in the last packet. So that update. So just want to throw that out there that we was 1 week ahead of you, or 1 council ahead of you. Brad is working with Dan Markle doing some SCADA things on the water system out there, trying to make it communicate a little bit better. We did get the final reads on December, Brian. There is your totals. So these are the numbers that we have been driving down and trying to get down. So if you guys look at the bottom of the page, if you look at the 115, that's million gallons. So we created 115 million gallons. We sold 79 million gallons. Somewhere in the system with meters or leaks or fire flow test or flushing the hydrants, we lost 36 million gallons. So our water loss is about 31, which it was in the 60s. So we have got that down substantially in the last couple of years. And we're still working to get it down further. Brad treated 11.5 million gallons of water in December. That was highlighted. I am not going to highlight the distribution because it's that time of year and we don't talk that language. But we have some things going on there. They assisted as well with the water crew assisted with the snow removal. I'll have to go back. We actually rented equipment to be able to try to clear the downtown, and I think they hauled 60-something loads of snow out of the downtown to the farm because you can only pile it so much on the curb, and we had to get it cleared out. So that is another thing that we was trying to clear out the downtown, and we let some of our sidewalks hold until we got crews to be able to do that.
Real quick though, I like Bobcats and heavy equipment, and I watched them load the snow in the Speedway parking lot into the dump truck.
Yeah.
2 loads.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
It was crazy.
I just went and harassed them while they were doing that.
You was the council person that harassed them. Okay, duly noted.
Yeah.
We're still working on the AT&T pole changeouts. They was able to get 3 of them transferred. We just had our inspections done on all of our safety gear for the electric, so we had to get it all in-house to where they can come on one day and test it all. We are working with Choice 1 on the center circuit right away. I have talked with Marilyn Moore. We're looking to get a right away from the township to be able to directional bore onto their property for about 10 feet. We need a 10-foot, but literally it's going to be a 6-inch pipe, 6 foot underground to be able to create that center circuit. So the township, if you hear anything, that's what that's about, to get the center circuit out. We met with Tantalus. We have some ongoing quotes for the Tantalus circuit to be able to talk and SCADA for the metering system. to be able to help Rose and Travis be able to do a lot of the analytics that they need to be able to do. Plus, it will help isolate and figure out where the power outages are and how fast we can get them back up and running. So they picked up Christmas trees, and they have done snow. And when they're not doing snow, they're cleaning up from the snow, and then they're getting ready for the snow, and then they come in and do the ice. And so they have been completely busy.
I'm sure.
The youth center did do 17 youth per day. Brian mentioned that, and we do appreciate our partners with that. Florence also does a fantastic job. I get to give her a shout out too, because she's over there and just wonderful. Kids love her, and she does anything and everything to be able to help us. Samantha and Amani is traveling back, I believe, after the loss of to Ohio State, because one of the Wagners, number 59,
Yep.
Amani's brother, plays on Notre Dame, and I have to say he did a fantastic job blocking Ohio State all night. But it was a great time, great event, and Rose and Travis are catching water leaks on residential daily. So these water meters, once we get them all installed, we will be on to the next phase to where we can try to get an app for the homeowners so they will know instantly that they got a water problem.
Real quick, so finding these residential leaks, is that making a noticeable difference in the overall?
It will make a noticeable difference in the homeowners not having to pay a bill for water hose outside that busted due to the cold weather condition. It has been running on the ground before the remote meters, maybe 30 days until they get their next bill, and they'll be like, what the heck? Now Rose is catching it within probably half a day that something's wrong. So once we get them all installed, once we get to the app, after the data is done and we're into this phase, your phone will actually be able to send you an alert to tell you that somebody's using a lot of water in your house. And so then you can figure out where your toilet's leaking, or your water softener's running, or your hose outside. Check your hose bills, because with the cold water, they do seem to some back off and start dripping because they're not closed tight. That is what Rose is finding a lot of.
She can send mine directly to my 15-year-old because
That's where yours is out of it. But the water loss in the prior chart, that's more about what we don't charge for, right?
Correct.
Okay. And how close are we to being able to do our own
We're
thing?
probably, once we get all these, it'll probably be 26.
Cool.
So that's what we was talking SCADA with Tantalus about. And we will be sending Rose, Travis, and Ben to a conference in Indiana, I believe it is in April, to learn more about the technology to be able to assist the villages, to assist the village.
Good.
So that's all I have. Any other questions?
I have two things. So the thing about the website and ADA compliance, what's that about?
Amy Blankenship can speak to that one.
Yeah, I don't actually know, but there have been some changes somewhere in the federal law that were supposed to come down, I think at the end of 2024, early in 2025, about public entities' websites and different types of ADA compliance. And I had forgotten about it until quite recently when some emails circulated, so we'll have to run that down and figure out what the changes are.
Did we get a complaint?
No, I have no idea what recently brought it to light. It was.
We was in the process of building ours, and we hit a snag with the ADA compliant, because you don't want to build it and then have to redo it all.
Right. Okay.
So.
Okay. All right, I'll be curious to hear more about that. And then I wanted to just emphasize what Rebecca mentioned about, even though I think we've crossed a finish line with LIHTC, there's still a commitment to get a more robust FAQ document out there. And so, Johnny, I'm hoping that you and Meg can ultimately filter that, because I realize, I mean, I've got a lot of knowledge and can do some work on it, but I want to make sure that the document is ultimately objective. And so, if we can get that commitment. And then, last thing is, Dino, to your point, we're going to have more of an update on CBE very soon. And it reminds me, Judy, that maybe it's a good time to put that incentive policy from 2018 into our packet, so that council, because it was a document I didn't realize, I had forgotten, we passed a incentive policy back in 2018. So I think it would be good for us all to see, so that we make sure that it is up to date and makes sense for what Allison is doing with our prospects. So, thank you.
All right, thank you. Yeah, and I know Allison has met with one or two of us.
Yeah, I think she's met with every council member, right?
She has not.
I hope not.
She has not, and I've
right, well,
asked
she
her
will.
to, I've asked her to slow her roll in that regard.
Oh, okay.
Before we, sunshine. So, but yeah, we'll have a report that everyone can feast on soon. Anything else for the managers, from the manager's report before we move on to old business?
Civic Plus, I can't say it enough.
Yeah. I
Civic
am
Plus,
really.
it went up 34.
Yeah,
So
good
we're at
job.
452.
Yeah.
So we're not even halfway there.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for signing us up automatically.
You're welcome.
I love hearing about everything I hear about.
And plus 74 on Facebook. So
Alrighty, well, when Facebook goes away, we'll stop counting.
correct.
Anything else before we go to LIHTC?
We don't need it.
We
We already did it.
We good? Okay, so LIHTC's done. We said what needed to be said.
The only thing, like, with LIHTC, Johnny, could you, I've heard some, I think, confusion around, like, stormwater and safety and whatnot. Could you maybe just talk about, like, the planning commission piece of, like, how we address those issues when developments happen?
I would hate to speak about something that is not even a thing yet.
But
Stormwater is in our code to where your stormwater can impact your neighbors, but that all goes to the planning commission, so we have to have something to be able to address this.
Well, I guess I'm just saying, we have a process where, I mean, you can't just like build something and suddenly create stormwater issues for your neighbors and, okay.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah. Yep. All righty. No new business. This being our second meeting of the month, offer the opportunity to council liaisons to highlight any board and commission reports.
I have two things. One just came up. But in terms of the Active Transportation Committee, I said I would, again, reach out to council members. I mean, I try to attend most meetings as the alternate. It'd be nice to have somebody who's able to step in. I mean, part of my challenge is my commission responsibilities are pretty heavy. You know, as you know, Kevin, MVRPC is kind of a part-time job itself. So anyway, so I want to put that out there. And then, since Amy Bailey brought it up, if anybody would like to be the school liaison, I don't see, you know, besides the LIHTC thing, it's never been a heavy obligation, but I'm happy for somebody else to take over that role if anyone's interested.
Well, one thing I'll say about that, both the school board liaison to council and the council liaison to school board, to your point, Brian, before LIHTC, there was not much liaising happening. I would say, unless someone, well, first of all, I would submit we're probably getting close to the finish line with regard to our needing to be involved at that level. If that is the case, unless someone has a burning desire to step in.
I'll do it, but when are the meetings?
None scheduled. It's basically talking with the school board president.
The school board meetings are on
Rebecca?
Thursdays, the second
Rebecca?
Thursday.
I know that I'm talking about.
So that the public can hear.
Are we doing this now?
Well, no, it's a conversation, but we're having this conversation, and there was some pertinent information shared, and the public didn't hear what Rebecca said. So unless someone wants to repeat what she said for clarification.
Yeah.
But if everybody's happy, I'm happy. Okay.
So, yeah, it sounds like Trish wants to take on
Okay.
that role, which is great.
All right, and Brian, is there an alternate for that?
No.
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 Okay, all right. All right. We got that, Judy? It's an official change. And I didn't see your schedule. I know we received it, your schedule for the year.
Yeah.
Did that include the various commission meetings and the okay, so.
Yeah, but the liaison to the school board, that is done between the two folks that you could go have coffee at the Emporium. It's not a meeting.
Yeah, got you. Yeah.
Or you can have, several hours of conversation every day if there's something going on.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Choose to, right.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah.
Well, good.
if
Well,
you
thanks.
choose to.
Well, thanks, Trish, for stepping up. The active transportation, is that?
The active transportation, if Brian is not there, it's either one of me or my staff. So I think we got it covered.
Okay, cool. All right.
Yeah, and I'm good with that too. I guess Judy just put me down as like the the full one, and we don't need an alternate.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Cool beans. Anything else regarding board and commissions reports? Okay, thank you very much for that. Future agenda items.
I've added, we need 2 ordinances for right-of-way vacations. That will come on February 3rd, so that's an addition.
Okay, and those are there, right? That's those?
That's what I got.
Yep. All right, I'm sure everything else will bubble to the top as needed, and are we straight for agenda planning for Monday?
Yep.
Okay.
Invitation is sent.
Okay, all righty. All right, anything else for the good of the order?
I'll move to adjourn.
I will second.
All those in favor, please indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned. Have a great evening, everyone. Thank you for your participation.